Up until now, I've covered a lot of different aggro, hands, and dash, ways to sequence certain hands together in the boost version of the list so that when done correctly, really push the ceiling on what dash is capable of, resulting in incredible amounts of damage. However, people have asked for me to briefly cover certain hands in the mid-range list so that they can learn that as well. If you're new to the channel or new to dash, I've made a public playlist where I have highlighted a lot of my videos where I've covered certain topics if you're interested in learning more. Starting with our hero dash Inventor Extraordinaire, our mechanologist hero, he's going to start with a 2 or less cost mechanologist item in play, and that's going to be our induction chamber for today. Most of our mid-range list is going to be working around building a value engine that through synergy with itself is able to result in a very powerful endgame once assembled. Induction chamber has a 1 cost action to put a steam counter on it if there are no steam counters, and then as a once per turn attack reaction we can give a target mechanologist pistol go again. So the way that works is that the mechanologist pistol does not say once per turn action attack, which means that if you are able to give it go again or you have an action point available, the pistol can actually reload and fire again. So for 3 resources you are able to load your pistol, load your induction chamber, fire your Teklovossen pistol, and the reaction step give it go again from the induction chamber, use your last resource to reload the pistol and shoot again. This concept is always a little bit more difficult for beginners because they're used to weapons in this game saying once per turn action to attack. The plasma pistol is a notable exception to this rule and is very intentional because of the induction chamber. Once we're able to set up multiple of these induction chambers, for 5 resources we can shoot our pistol, give it go again with an induction chamber, shoot it again, give it go again one more time, and then shoot it a final time. Most of the time we're not going to go beyond this, and normally 2 items is just perfect enough. So with this, with 5 resources, we can shoot a total of 3 times, 2 every single time. This leads us into our second item, Plasma Purifier. Much like the induction chamber, we can pay 1 to put a steam counter on it, and then once per turn we can remove it. The difference is that with Plasma Purifier, it's going to give our mechanologist pistol +1 attack until end of turn. What's very notable about this is that it says until end of turn and not for the next attack. So whenever the pistol is going to shoot, if its power is increased with the Plasma Purifier, it will be for the entire turn. So if we have 2 Plasma Purifiers towards the late game, and we go back to that earlier hand that we just looked at, the difference that before we shoot the first time, we can actually use both Plasma Purifiers to buff our pistol up to 4 attack. This means that every single time we shoot the pistol this turn, it's going to come in for 4 damage instead of 2. And so because of that, we're able to shoot 3 times for 4 each, a total of 12. You are able to go beyond 2 and 2. However, after a lot of deliberation and a lot of theory crafting, it does seem like this is traditionally the most efficient use of resources. Although you are more than welcome to try doing 3 of each item or sometimes even less. Something that should be worth noting is that you are able to reload counters on the items even after you activate them for the turn, as it's the activation that is only a once per turn action, but you can actually reload counters on them after using them. So it's very common to sometimes use your purifiers and then immediately pitch a card to put counters back on them for the following turn. Also, it's worth noting that you are able to pay into them, including your plasma pistol, as many times as you want. This can be a way to filter cards from your hand without actually attacking with them or blocking with them. Another way that we can play the items, besides just drawing them and playing them for their cost of 2, is through Spark of Genius, Dash of Specialization. This lets us go tutor for a mechanologist item that costs X or less, and then put it on the arena. We can also draw a card if you boosted that turn. So for 4 resources, X can be equal to 2, and we can go find any of our items. Now, to live long enough to be able to set up this engine, we of course need to survive the early game. This is more of a mid to late game deck, so in the early game we're going to be using a lot of defense, and part of that's going to be using defense reactions. So Fate Foreseen, Unmovable, and Sink Below are 3 great ways to keep our life total high in the early game. We can also use Dash's fantastic blocking capabilities to play a more mid-range game as well. All the mechanologist cards outside of the items block for 3, so sometimes we're able to actually block sometimes for 6 and just keep a simple 2-card hand, as she also has very strong attacks as well, normally in the red slots. Because of that, sometimes it is correct to actually block with a couple cards and maybe keep a few cards to pistol and then throw an attack at them as well, or sometimes just attack by itself. And now we arrive at the endgame finisher for this list, High Octane. Whenever we boost a card this turn, we're going to gain an action point, draw a card, and of course High Octane has go again. So whenever we boost, we're going to banish the top card of the deck. If it's a mechanologist card, the attack is going to get go again. We will refund our action point with the go again from the boost if the boost is successful, and then we'll also gain an additional action point from High Octane. Even if we boost it away a non-mech card, we at least get the action point back from High Octane, so we're able to continue our turn as normal. High Octane can be comboed with cards like Tome of Fiandal, as since we have extra action points, we can play cards like Tome of Fiandal to keep on drawing cards and not have our turn end as we have lots of action points stored away. This is a card that's best used in the late game. Try to pitch it early and then draw into it late game once we've assembled all of the pistol items out on the table. And then to show you what that final turn might look like, it's going to start with High Octane and a lot of red boost attacks. So for this example, off of blue, we can go High Octane Zipper Hit 0 to 60, Zipper Hit, Assuming we drew a blue off the high octane, we can then pay into Foundry Heart since we boosted this turn, banish 2 mat cards, go up to 4 resources, which then means we can shoot our pistol 4 times as we boosted 3 times, so we have 3 action points plus the go again resolving to refund the 4th action point. So without even using induction chambers, we're able to shoot 4 times. And since this is the late game, if we have activated our plasma purifiers after they've been played this game, our pistol comes in 4 times for 4 damage each, so a total of 16. So 16 damage alone for the pistol. In this example right here, we're also dealing 14 from our attacks, so a total of 30 damage. Now, this doesn't always have to be the way you win the game, as after that, we are also comfortable late game drawing all blues and using them to fuel our engine, pitching them into the pistol items to eventually grind out the game. 4 damage 3 times every turn, or sometimes with all of the pistol items, shooting 4 times for 5 damage each is a total of 20. Now that's a lot harder to achieve, but regardless, that is the end game of the deck, is to assemble these pistol items to use them as they synergize with each other for a really powerful end game, of course using high octane to close it out. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful and helped you gain a better understanding of how mid-range dash works and how the pistols can work with induction chamber and plasma purifier. Thank you for watching.